Are you ready to live life in the fast lane? Hey, what's up? I'm Wyatt, and I'm going to talk about wrestling. WWE Fastlane is happening Saturday. Great big pay-per-view. Not really, it's a B pay-per-view. Roman Reigns isn't going to be there, so that's how you know they don't view it with the utmost importance. However, the last few B pay-per-views that WWE has done have actually been pretty great. So I'm actually kind of excited for this one. In this video, I'm just going to be giving my predictions, and I'm just going to be talking a little bit about the card and what I think of it. But it's mostly going to be predictions-based, results, and what might happen, what might result from said matches. So, no preamble. Let's just get right into it. So far, there are currently 5 matches announced for the card. I'm expecting more on SmackDown, but I'd like to get this video out before Fastlane happens, so I won't be able to, do that. But the 5 matches actually seem pretty interesting, and whatever else gets announced, I'm sure will be good. I wish they would have saved Gunther versus Tommaso Ciampa for this card, but the match was still really good on Raw, and it actually gave me a reason to tune in, so it worked somewhat for them. So we're going to start off with the biggest nothing match, which is LWO versus the Street Profits and Bobby Lashley. I'm anticipating a good match, but like I said, it's kind of nothing because LWO, especially Rey Mysterio, who's an established vet, they're in a position where they can easily take an L. Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits, a newly established group, are not in a position to take a loss at all. So it makes the result pretty predictable that Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits pretty much have to win, and that's fine. I'm okay with that decision. I think the most interesting part of it would be how I would book the finish of this match would be Montez Ford getting the pin on Rey Mysterio. For a while in the build-up to WrestleMania 39 and even in the fallout from it, it felt like Montez Ford was kind of getting primed for a nice singles push. And we've fallen off that. He's in a group with Bobby Lashley. The Street Profits are, stronger than ever, right? But I still think you want to plant the seeds to something for Montez Ford to break out as a single star. It doesn't have to end with a feud with Angelo Dawkins or Bobby Lashley, although I think that would be killer. But just build it up so that way Montez Ford looks like a guy who can get wins over established names. And if you do that with him getting the pin on Rey Mysterio, the current US champion, you can tell an awesome story with that. And maybe if you want to break up this group immediately, which I wouldn't do, but have it build to maybe Montez Ford getting the US title win over Rey Mysterio eventually, or Bobby Lashley wins the US title back off of him. There's this sort of jealousy thing. Maybe Montez Ford fails in his first attempt against Rey Mysterio, but Bobby Lashley gets the win, and it's a whole thing. Maybe, Bobby Lashley thinks Montez Ford is overstepping his boundaries. There are a lot of ways you can go about this. And I think Montez Ford as a single star is a super interesting concept to me. I think he's somebody that you could look at as a star for the next, however many years. He's a guy who wants to be in WWE. He's married to Bianca Belair. I mean, you could run that power couple thing that didn't really work for Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch, but maybe it works for these guys. I don't know. Either way, I think Street Profits and Bobby Lashley are winning this match, and I think there are some interesting directions you could take it. I would book it as Montez Ford gets the pin on Rey Mysterio, but odds are they don't do that in order to protect Rey. Maybe Joaquin Wilde or someone takes the pin. Either way, that's a pretty cut and dry match. Next match is going to be the Judgement Day versus Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso, a tag team that I did not think we'd be seeing ever, but an interesting one nonetheless. Judgement Day, Damian Priest and Finn Balor won the tag titles off of Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens in a pretty fun plunder match, and the Steen Jericho tag title run was not what I wanted it to be at all. It felt very lackluster, and it felt like as soon as they won the titles, the focus on the tag team wrestling immediately kind of fell off a cliff. They were stuck in nothing matches for a while. The injury to Elton Prince and Pretty Deadly, that kind of derailed what felt like a lot of fun momentum in that direction. And I thought that feud could have been pretty interesting. Kevin Owens is the seeds feel planted for a heel turn eventually, which I don't know how many times him and Sami Zayn can turn heel and face on each other, but I'm still here for it because those two are awesome. Either way, tag titles are back to kind of feeling like nothing, and putting Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso, two main event stars, in a tag team match doesn't make them feel any more important because it kind of feels like a foregone conclusion that the Judgment Day are going to retain here via shenanigans. Specifically, Rhea Ripley or Dominic Mysterio or JD McDonough related shenanigans. Rhea Ripley is once again going another pay-per-view cycle without a title match, which, again, with the tag titles, it feels like a great result from a good match at WrestleMania, a great match at WrestleMania even. That one was a sleeper hit for me. Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte Flair was not a match I was expecting to be great, but it went out there and it was pretty awesome. And Rhea Ripley winning felt like the correct decision, which even in hindsight it was, but the booking of the title reign, just like the tag titles, hasn't been excellent. But either way, she'll probably get involved. Dominic Mysterio, who just regained his North American title after 4 days, was it? He'll probably get involved. JD McDonough, who's trying to weasel his way into the Judgment Day, he'll probably get involved. And Cody and Jey Uso are going to walk away defeated, but still looking strong. Hell, they might even beat the crap out of the Judgment Day post-match because they got screwed, and it'll send the people home happy, or into the next match happy. Hell, actually, I think that one probably made events, so they probably send the crowd home happy that way. How would I personally book the finish? I mean, I wouldn't put the titles on Cody and Jey Uso because they don't need them. I wouldn't have even put the titles on Finn Balor and Damian Priest because they didn't need them either, but either way, I guess have them hang on to it and have an actual tag team come up and beat them. The Creed brothers are wasting away in NXT. Bring them up. Have them win the titles. I don't know. The booking of the tag titles has been pretty nothing, and even though the Judgment Day and Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso have been featured very prominently on every single episode of Raw since WrestleMania, it just doesn't feel inspired anymore. Next match is John Cena and LA Knight versus Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa. Fun tag team, two guys who, I mean, John Cena was the face of WWE at a time where its business wasn't great, and LA Knight was the face of TNA at a time where it was doing horrible. So it's pretty interesting to see that. It's not John Cena and AJ Styles, but it's still pretty fun. It's one of those teams that you just didn't think would ever end up together, but now they're there, and LA Knight might be more over than Cena is. No, I don't believe that, but LA Knight's doing pretty great. And on the Bloodline side of things, Jimmy Uso's stalling, Solo Sikoa is fine, I guess. It's not like he's like over. He's just part of the Bloodline. It's not like he's getting better in ring. He barely wrestles, but he's there, and he looks big, and he does the so, you know, whatever that is, I guess that works. How do I think this match will end? Probably John Cena and LA Knight winning. I mean, I wouldn't give LA Knight a loss here. I think Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa, well, I wouldn't pin Solo. He's taken enough pinfalls in Bloodline-related tag matches to where I wouldn't give him another one. Can Jimmy Uso afford one? Probably. Jimmy Uso doesn't look great right now. He kind of looks like a little bitch. He looks like Roman Reigns' bitch, which doesn't make sense because just a couple months ago he didn't want to be that, but now he is. And I feel like when Roman Reigns eventually comes back, this whole Bloodline thing will actually start moving, the wheels will come on, Cody Rhodes will go over to SmackDown, and things will feel right with the world. But for now, Raw is kicking SmackDown's ass, in my opinion. Just anything with Gunther and Cody and Jey and all of their main event guys on Raw feel a lot more important than the Bloodline rejects and LA Knight do on SmackDown. Obviously, Cena being there is a big W for SmackDown, but it just doesn't feel as important as it did when Sami Zayn was there with the Bloodline, which is interesting because a lot of people said Sami Zayn would never be a draw like that, but look at him. He was kind of carrying SmackDown back then. I don't want to say it, but when Roman Reigns wasn't around, Sami Zayn and Jey Uso stepped up, and it's awesome to see that those two are still doing great on Raw. I'm rambling. Back to the match. I think I would give LA Knight I would let him get the pin here, probably on Jimmy Uso. Maybe spark a singles feud there. I was thinking about doing an LA Knight fantasy booking, and the result of this match could be important in how that would play out, so we'll see. I would give him the victory. John Cena doesn't need it, you know? Cena's great, he can do a few hot tag spots, I think this should be LA Knight's match. The pop he got when he came out to save Cena was incredible. And they've been doing great things with him, and I think you gotta give him a big victory here. Jimmy Uso can handle it, because it builds that dissension. It probably ends with Solo getting mad at Jimmy after he loses the match for him. Roman Reigns has to make the call to Paul Heyman, and there's a lot of stuff you can do with it. So I think, yeah, I feel like that one's a pretty safe bet that John Cena and LA Knight are getting the win, and that some Bloodline-related shenanigans will ensue due to them taking a loss. Up next is Charlotte versus Io Sky versus Asuka. This match sucks because it feels like Charlotte's going to win, doesn't it? Io Sky won the Money in the Bank briefcase. Awesome moment. Io Sky cashed in her Money in the Bank briefcase successfully, and she held it for more than a day. A lot of that stuff doesn't happen for the women's briefcase. Big things happen all around. Will the title reign amount to anything? Just like most Money in the Bank briefcase cash-ins, probably not. Probably not, unfortunately. It feels like Charlotte's gonna win, and it feels like Asuka's there to take the pin. She kind of got added to this match for no reason. She literally got added to the match because Bayley didn't understand what she was saying and added her to the match, which in storyline is a hilarious reason for a triple threat, but yeah, no, she's there to eat the pin because she can handle it. How would I book this? How would I book this match? I wouldn't book it. I would probably, I would do Io Sky versus someone else. Charlotte Flair is fine in ring, but that match against Bayley on SmackDown was not fun to watch. It really made you realize that era of NXT workers, the Four Horsewomen, they're not what they once were. Bayley, she's doing her best. And the fact that she's doing what she can to elevate Io Sky now is pretty awesome. But if Io Sky loses her title here, it's not going to feel great. I'm not going to be happy to watch it. But it feels like something it's a foregone conclusion, just like a lot of these other ones where, yeah, that'll be the title change for the show. But yeah, my prediction is Charlotte Flair gets the pin over Asuka. I would like to see Io Sky retain here, but if Asuka's there just to eat the pin, maybe, it's probably why they couldn't do Io Sky versus Charlotte one-on-one, is because Charlotte didn't want to take the pin, but whatever. I think it could be a decent match, but it feels like there's going to be a lot of stress if, whenever Charlotte covers someone, there's going to be a lot of stress of like, don't let her win. Sorry to upset any Charlotte fans out there. I just don't think she needs this. I think Io Sky needs to be built up as a champion before she can lose. I don't know. And on to the last match on the card, a match that I think maybe could main event. Feels like that might put Judgement Day versus Cody and Jey, but the last match is Seth Rollins versus Shinsuke Nakamura, aka the third most important feud on Raw. And it's for the world title. Fun. It's a last man standing match, which should hopefully allow it to be much better than their just straight one-on-one match, because both of these guys, although phenomenal workers in their own right and have put on great performances in the past, are definitely getting past their prime. The whole storyline about this is that Seth Rollins is banged up, and yeah, it's obvious. He's not been putting out his best work in recent years. He's been good, but his best matches have been in matches like this, ones where the wrestling might not be at the forefront, but the spots and the weapons and the, drama of it all will be. He's adapted to the WWE style so well that he can't work a straight wrestling match. People talk about wanting to see Tyler Black in AEW, and it's like, yeah, it'd be good, but he's not ROH Tyler Black. This is Seth Rollins now. He's as WWE pilled as they get. Once again, rambling. I think this should be leaps and bounds better than their first match because it can be a little bit more violent. Shinsuke can really play up his heelness by brutalizing Seth and being a bastard, which I think can definitely, tell a better story than their first match where he was targeting the back with knees, targeting Seth Rollins' back, I should say, with knees and kicks and moves and whatever, which works. But if you really want to sell that to a large crowd, you got to use chairs and tables. And again, this is a WWE last man standing match, so I doubt it's going to be violent. Neither of them are going to bleed, which I don't know if you can tell. I kind of like blood in wrestling. But either way, I think it can be a fun plunder match, and I think it can tell a good story. I think making Seth Rollins the resilient babyface, his back is failing him, he's hurting, he doesn't want to get up, he shouldn't get up, it doesn't make sense. Seth, stay down. Maybe show Becky Lynch watching and she looks all concerned for her husband, but he keeps getting up. How does the match end? I don't know. Probably with Seth winning, right? I mean, that just makes sense. Seth winning makes sense because he's the established guy. Shinsuke almost feels like filler for, something bigger happening. And that something bigger happening might happen tonight. Or not tonight, Fastlane, you know what I mean. By that bigger thing happening, I mean a Damian Priest cash-in. I think that could reasonably happen if this match closes the show. If this match doesn't close the show, then no, you're not getting the cash-in. But if it does, I truly think this is Damian Priest's time to cash in. A last man standing match where Seth Rollins can barely make it up. Frequent 9 counts of him just resiliently grabbing onto something and bringing himself back up. Shinsuke in disbelief hits him with more moves. Hits him with a Kinshasa to the back with a steel chair or something crazy like that. And Seth keeps on getting up. And then finally, it's a triumphant victory. The crowd feels happy. And then the Judgment Day's music hits. And he finally gets rid of that cursed-ass briefcase and wins the title off of him. I think that'd be a really good way to establish Damian Priest as a world champion. Maybe if Seth needs to take some time off, you can write him off like that. It kind of leaves you in a weird spot for, challengers for Damian Priest's title then, if he wins it. And the implication of him being a double champion is weird. Maybe they lose the tag titles earlier in the night to Cody and Jey. I don't know. I wouldn't do that, but hell, if you want to make him a double champion, Fastlane's probably the night to do it. That is probably how I would do it, or I'd let Shinsuke win. I'd let him be this vicious, just brutal heel who will do anything in his power to dismantle his opponents. You've done a good job of building him up like that. If he loses this match, it's back down to the mid-card. I don't think anything of importance happens. I feel like if he loses, it's a lot like what happened to Finn Balor, where this is his last chance to challenge for a world title, and if he loses, it's it. You can't really conceivably build him back up to being a main event guy. I like Shinsuke. I thought he was great in NXT. His main roster run from, the AJ Styles WrestleMania program to now has all been, that could have been better. The moment his WrestleMania match involved kicking someone in the dick, I just, it was over. It was over for Shinsuke. It would be awesome to see him win a world title in WWE. If it happens at Fastlane, awesome. If not, that's fine too. I'm not going to be upset one way or another. I think Seth's doing all right with the belt, but Gunther's Intercontinental Championship feels more like the main title of Raw than the World Heavyweight title. And that's fine. That's fine. Building your mid-card titles up like that is great, but yeah, no, Seth's world title doesn't mean as much as it should, and maybe this match can do something in kind of rehabilitating it and helping it feel more important. But yeah, that's about, there's only 5 matches, and that's my predictions and kind of the way I would have each of them play out for Fastlane. Obviously, I'm expecting more to get added, but if not, this could be a phenomenally short pay-per-view, which I would be here for, because pay-per-views are really long, and I get tired, but I watch them all the way through because I'm a devoted fan. It feels like AEW is probably not going to put anything crazy on Collision, so it feels like Fastlane's going to kind of get the majority share of viewership. I think people are going to overreact to whatever the AEW rating is for Collision, but again, people are much more inclined to watch a pay-per-view than they are weekly TV because there could be important stuff happening on this B show, and again, the last few B pay-per-views for WWE have been pretty great. But yeah, let me know what you think is going to happen for some of these matches. If you agree with me, if you think I'm dead wrong on some of these things, let me know in the comments. If you like the video, give it a like, subscribe, help me make more stuff like this. Let me know what other things you'd like to see me do. I want to do some fantasy bookings, like I said, LA Knight, Cody Rhodes, thinking about it, and some AEW stuff as well, which I'll get into next time. there's an AEW thing happening. So yeah, thank you again for watching, and I'll talk about wrestling in the next one.